So let's talk a little bit about your school community. You said you changed the about page to make it a lot more SEO friendly. You
Mhm.
have people coming into your community now, but they're not upgrading to the paid stuff. So how do we get them to actually use your homeschooling curriculum and get them to actually purchase? So I have a couple questions. What's your actual conversion rate into your community at this point?
The conversion rate is 27.5%.
Okay, so that's good. So about page is doing great. That's getting a really good conversion rate into it. Now, of those people, how many people do you have currently in your group?
75.
How many are paying?
None.
Zero. How many, what's the daily activity count in your group as well? Do you know how to find that? So if you go into settings and then go into metrics,
Gotcha.
and then if you scroll down, there should be like a chart with a lot of little squares.
Oh, yeah. Okay. It looks like
If
kind
you
of
hover over them, it should tell you how many, for the
like
last
range
few days, what have you had?
13, 3, 6, 1,
Okay.
3. Yeah, pretty low.
Yeah, engagement definitely has to go up. And so part of that too is when we're trying to sell people on things, there's a factor of know, like, and trust that comes into that. And that happens through the nurturing process. So if people come in and they join the group, that's great. You've made that first initial conversion, but people that are in the group now have to be nurtured enough to actually make the sale.
Right.
And so if they're not engaging in the group, that nurturing process is probably not happening. So there are some different strategies that you can do to help. One is, how often are you posting? Are you posting every single day?
Yeah, pretty much. I've been posting like questions about the Torah. I've been posting like, hey, how are you guys using the curriculum this week? I post like our art stuff that we do on co-op. It depends on if, I don't know. Sometimes it brings engagement like 13. Sometimes but it's just those who are in our co-op, but those are my grandfathered in people for co-op.
Yeah. So I would start tagging people. So what you're going to do is when you make those posts in the comments, think about who are the people that I know that would be interested in this post, and then tag them and you can make it casual. So it doesn't have to be like a big tag with hundreds of people in there. But if you tagged maybe 10 people that you thought would be interested in that post, saying something like, I'd love to hear your thoughts, and then tag those people. That's one way to start getting more people engaging in your posts. One thing we have to do too is when people join our community, we almost have to train them on how we want them to behave in our community. So how do we do that? We make tags, we make comments, we try to engage them, and we show them how we want them to actually engage. So when you make a post, if you can tag them all in it, that's like the first thing you should definitely start doing. Once they start doing that and they're commenting now, you want to keep that conversation going. If you have one post and everybody comments one thing on each post, it's not really a conversation. You want to have conversations in the community because that's what makes a community versus just like a billboard with comments. So one thing that you can do is follow up their comments with another question. So if they comment something and they're like, oh, this or that or whatever, like you can comment back with a question that just keeps the conversation going.
Keep going. I love them. I think that they just don't go online often.
Okay.
I'll ask them a question and then sometimes it's a week later. They'll be like, oh, yeah, here. And then they answer and then I'll respond and ask the question and then again, wait several days. It's not their moms and they often are homesteading.
Yeah.
So they're not checking their phones often. In fact, screen time itself, they're like not a big fan of, which I understand. So it can be tough sometimes I've even emailed them and sometimes I just had to call them on the phone and be like, hey, can you upload this on school? And then eventually, I think one person I called them and then I tried to kept checking in every month. And then 6 months later, she's, oh, I've got to post it. Yeah, that's wonderful. But they just get busy, caught up with life, makes it interesting. So I wonder if I just need more people so then I can catch one.
And I think part of that is needing more people. Like you do have 75 people. So if you figure, 10% of those people are active on a regular basis, so that's 7 or 8 people. So yeah, I definitely think getting more people in there is going to be good. The other thing too is there are plenty of people out there that are less active on social media or they're less active on computers with screen time and things like that. But if something's valuable enough to them, they will go on and do it. Like people do still use their phones all the time. I'm sure there's plenty of people that try to pretend like they don't, but let's be honest, we're in 2026. Everyone uses their phone all the time. So why would they use their phone but not use school? Because school's not valuable enough to them. Maybe they're checking their banking app, maybe they're texting people, maybe they're making phone calls. Those are all things that are valuable to them. And so they're willing to use their phone for it. school is not valuable to them. So they're not willing to put it on their
Mhm.
phone or they're not willing to use it often. So that's another thing where I would maybe follow up with some of those people and say, hey, like, I know that you're not using school that often. What can I put in this group that would make it so valuable that you would come back every day?
Okay.
And see what that looks like, because that could be different for everybody. And I would find out what that actually looks like for these moms, because that might give you some valuable insight about what to actually have in your school community and what maybe you just are wasting time on.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe I'm just not posting topics that are
It
engaging
it
enough.
could be, right? And we all
Okay.
fall into that trap. Sometimes we think of this is what I think that they would want to know, or this is what I think that they
Right.
need to know, but nobody knows better than they do. So find out what are the topics that they want to talk about. What's the information that they're looking for? How can I provide that in my community so that they do keep coming back for more? And part of that too is conversations. Like that beginning part, there is a little bit of a hurdle to it because think about it this way. If you walk into a party and everyone's just awkwardly standing around, your
Mhm.
first inclination is get me the heck out of here. But if you walk into a party and there's some music and everyone's hanging out and talking and there's delicious food, it's, oh, this is cool. Let's see what we can make happen here. It's the same thing with community. So when we're building community, if people are coming in or if they're coming in once a week, they might be coming in once a week just to fulfill the obligation because they just don't enjoy being there. So,
Okay.
how can we make it more enjoyable? And in the beginning, it's difficult because you have these people, nobody's really engaging, and you're trying to get them to engage. But once that engagement starts to happen, then it makes it so much more enjoyable for everybody. So, there's a couple ways you could do this. One, I know you have a number of people that are grandfathered in. It might be worth letting them know, hey, I've grandfathered you in. If you want to continue doing this,
Mhm.
either you come in every single day and make a post and comment, or we're going to have you removed and you're going to start paying to be in that paid tier. Like we can downgrade you to the free tier. So that might be an option if you told them it was going to be a year. So when
Yeah.
does that year end?
Good question. A lot of them joined in like May or June. So yeah, it's coming up.
So they're all going to have to start paying. So I would just let them know now and be like, hey, just want to let you know the year end is coming up in May. We're a couple months out from that. And
Yeah.
if you can find some way to incentivize people to start engaging more, that's
Okay.
going to really help. If you keep getting people coming in, but the group is still not active, then they're not going to be active. So if you can get the group active now, then all of your new members that you're getting in as well will automatically come in, start to engage a lot more because it's an engaged community. It'll be so much easier to upsell them. So that is one strategy I think I would definitely start thinking about is what can I do to get my current members to just be engaging more? And how can I make it valuable enough for them that they would show up every day for this group? At the end of the day, like, yes, we're all busy. We're all moms. We've got a bunch of stuff going on. We're homeschooling, all those things. But like, you're still showing up every day. I'm showing up every day. There's still
So,
plenty of homeschooling moms that are showing up every day. And it's just because it's valuable enough to us.
right.
So just figuring out how can this be more valuable to the people that I'm working with. The other things that I know you had mentioned was the people that were coming in were utilizing the community, but not necessarily purchasing and upgrading for the curriculum. So,
Mhm.
what are you doing so far to help people upgrade?
What do you mean? I post about, hey, this is what we're doing. And if you want more, then, join the premium and then give links. I
Okay.
also post like a lot of the fun things that we do in our premium, which is the upselling. And a lot of
Mhm.
them are like, this is so great. But then they're like, we already have our own curriculum.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if I just need more people because the people who are in,
Yeah.
it's not for them and they're sticking around or
Does the about page talk about the fact that there's a curriculum inside?
I don't remember. Let me see.
So I would think about that as well because I do agree. I know you had mentioned this earlier, looking
Yeah.
at a different avatar. So people that are new to homeschooling, people that are looking at changing their curriculums, I would base the advertising of your community around the fact that you have a curriculum that's fully built because otherwise the exact problem you're running into right now is what's going to keep happening, which means people are coming in for the community, which is great for long-term stuff because you never know, maybe in the future they want to change curriculums and they change, but like for short-term sales, that's not super helpful. And especially because you have a limited marketing capacity, meaning you don't have a big YouTube channel, you don't have a big Facebook following, you don't really have any big following naturally, and you're not running ads. So you don't have a big pool of people coming in consistently. And so
Mhm.
if you have a smaller amount of people coming in, you want that to be as dialed in as possible. So I would be advertising not necessarily for the community aspect of things, but more about the curriculum that you're actually selling. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah.
If you're advertising, hey, this is for Torah inspired Christian homeschoolers that want to start homeschooling or want to build a more solid foundation around their homeschooling, this is the group for you. And so that would lead to more people that are coming in or people that need help with that curriculum. In which case they would come in, then they would definitely be upselling. They would want to because that's what they're needing help with.
Okay.
So I would lean into what is the problem that you're solving for people and how can you better explain that on the about page of what you're doing so that the right people are coming in. I would rather have a smaller conversion rate. 27% is amazing, but if you could have a 20% conversion rate and more of those people are upselling, you're going to make more money than 27%, but nobody's upselling.
Okay, true.
So yeah, I would definitely think about that. And then you also mentioned the coffee chats with no attendance. Once you start getting people showing up, it'll grow a lot easier after that because then you can take pictures inside and be like, look at all the people who showed up today. And then everyone's, oh my gosh, that's awesome. Most of the time, people don't show up to coffee chats for 3 reasons. One, they don't know it exists. If you're not advertising it enough or people aren't aware of it, they're not going to show. Number 2, if they don't know if anybody's actually showing up, they don't want to be the awkward person that just hops in. So if nobody's really showing up, then why would they go or make the effort for it? And 3, they don't know anybody that's going to be there. So the more they connect inside the community, the more likely they are to want to connect in a call. It's awkward hopping into a call with a bunch of people talking and you don't know any of them. But if they all know each other from the community, then it's way more likely that they'll show up to a coffee chat and then have conversations in there. So most of the time, those can very easily be fixed with a couple things. So one, having a more engaged community where people know each other better, be doing better marketing with the coffee chats. And sometimes that means sending people DMs. Hey, we're about to hop into a coffee chat. Are you coming? And then when you do a coffee chat, when people show up, do a screenshot and upload that so people can see, oh, every week these people are showing up to these coffee chats. And that will start to gain traction over time.
Okay.
Okay, cool. And then for conversions, I know we had talked about what are you doing to actually get people into paying, and there should be a system in place. So yes, you're making posts in the community. That's great. But unless you have a lot of people in there, most conversions are not going to happen from a post. So the next best thing is DMs that you can do. And the way that you can do that is a couple ways. For one, you can literally send people a DM and say something along the lines of, hey, I know you've been interested in our curriculum. I just want to let you know you can upgrade here and give them the link. Or you can say something like this or that question and just gear a conversation, usually along the lines of, hey, what kind of curriculum are you using for your kids right now? They tell you, okay, great. What do you like about it? What do you not like about it? And then they'll tell you, and then it's okay, cool. If you could change anything about your curriculum, what would it be? And just start ask questions and get to know like what their situation is. And then you can pitch them on the curriculum that you have. Maybe you have a video that you can send to them or something. So you're not hopping on 1,000 sales calls, especially because yours is low ticket anyway. But you can have a conversation with them in the DMs and ultimately get to a point where they're interested in what you're doing. You send them a video that goes over your curriculum, or it's in the 7-day, the little free course that you have for them. And then you just send them the link to upgrade to get the curriculum. Right. So that's another way, but having more in-depth conversations with people is going to help build that trust and that accountability and help nurture them. So we want to make sure we're doing that. We want to make sure we're thinking about who in here has what struggle. How can I help them with that? And part of that too is relaying that back to your curriculum. So again, I don't know all the details of your specific curriculum, but for example, if somebody was talking about in the community how they were struggling with getting their kids to learn how to type on a computer, and you're like, hey, I have a typing course that's part of our curriculum. That might in itself be worth it for them to spend $40 a month or whatever. So these are the types of things that we need to think about is what is the specific person's pain point, and knowing this person's pain point, what part of our curriculum is going to be the most interesting to them, right? The most helpful. And so when you're having conversations, that's what you want to do. I think one of the biggest traps that people fall into is they try to oversell on stuff that person doesn't care about. Meaning if that person has a bunch of math resources and they don't need help with that, if you give them a whole big thing about how we have the best math course, they're not going to buy because they don't care. So we have to ask a lot of questions first. But it's that sales process, that DMing, that's where you're going to actually start making sales.